Medieval castles were made of stone, mortar, and wood. The simple stone architecture made repairs easy to make. Much of the stone used to make the castles was used many times on castles that were built over time in the same location. The development, architecture, and building of a castle changed as time progressed, influenced by important historical events such as the Crusades and the technology of siege warfare. Medieval castle architecture featured solid walls and pillars, allowing them to hold far greater weights. The medieval-style castle building and architecture provided much bigger castles. Castles weren't a very comfortable place to live. They were made for safety. Only the lord and his family got enough heat and other amenities. Castle windows were just slits in the wall, and the cold stone floors and walls didn't keep in much heat. The castle walls were built high to protect the people from enemy armies. Medieval festivities would always be celebrated in the castle's great hall. Elaborate tapestries and silks would line the walls, and the largest windows would be found here. Small wooden and stone benches were placed underneath these windows so guests could enjoy the view. Stone floors in the castle's great hall were rarely covered with carpets, though wealthy lords might cover them with tapestries. Light for our evening feasts and celebrations would be provided by candles and oil lamps. It was not unusual for guests to sleep in the hall after a night of celebrating. Dungeon is a corruption of the donjon, the French term for tower. Contrary to popular belief of the dark basement pit, most prisoners were held in the castle's highest tower passage, to which was guarded by soldiers. Basement or pit dungeons did exist, with famous prisoners immortalized in literature. Medieval castle stone walls, narrow windows, and limited access points led many to be converted into prisons. Medieval kitchens were placed outside the great hall to fire safety. Spits roasting meat and large iron cauldrons bubbled with soups and stews were all part of the kitchen's daily routine. Lambs, cattle, pigs, and fowl were tethered or penned nearby. Castle kitchens could be large enough to roast up to 3 whole ox at a time. Water would be supplied by a well, but castles during the late Middle Ages began to pipe water right into the kitchen area. Utensils and whatever dishes the lord might possess would be washed in large stone sinks. Castle lords and ladies generally lived in the upper stories of the keep in a room called a solar. Lords and ladies might have kept separate chambers, each accompanied by their attendants who would sleep on pallets, benches, or small mattresses on the floor. Castle guests, the lord's eldest son, and the castle steward would occupy chambers on higher levels. These rooms would be equipped with peepholes called squints that were used to monitor the activity below. Even the grandest castles didn't have bathroom facilities. Usually latrines or garderobes would be built into a castle wall overhanging the ground or water below. Some garderobes had wooden seats, but many were simply carved into the castle stone. They would be quite uncomfortable. Iron bars were placed on some garderobe chutes to keep invading armies from using them as a point of entry. Garderobes would be placed near bedchambers and other parts of the castle. Some had screens for privacy and others did not. Chamber pots were popular throughout the Middle Ages, and straw was used as medieval toilet paper. Larger castles had dedicated latrine towers, and the person with the unsavory job of emptying the latrine was called a gong farmer. Mass was held every morning for the castle lord and his family in a small chapel built off the great hall. Services for the rest of the castle inhabitants would be held in chapels built on the bailey.